The baby wouldn't stop crying. Everyone on the train covered their ears. Some people moved to different seats. Others whispered angry words. But the tall Korean man with scars on his hands just sat there, holding the screaming infant, looking more scared than anyone had ever seen a grown man look. That's when Maya stood up. What she did next made everyone gasp. The dangerous-looking man's eyes went wide. And in that moment, on a crowded evening train heading through the city, two complete strangers' lives were about to collide in the most unthinkable way. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how it all really started. Before we continue, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us bring you more amazing stories like this one. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? It was a Thursday evening. The rain hammered against the train windows like angry fists. Maya Chen sat in her usual spot, third row from the door, right side, window seat. She always took the 6:15 train home from her job at the bakery. Maya was tired. Her feet hurt from standing all day. Flour still dusted her dark braids even though she tried to brush it all out. Her uniform smelled like fresh bread and cinnamon rolls. She had exactly $42 in her purse, enough to buy groceries for her and her 7-year-old daughter, Keisha, for the next 3 days. Life wasn't easy for Maya. She was only 28 years old, but sometimes she felt ancient. Her husband had left 2 years ago, disappeared like smoke, leaving her alone with a child to raise and bills that never stopped coming. Every day was a battle. Every dollar had to stretch. Every decision had to be made carefully. But Maya never complained. She worked hard. She loved her daughter. And she believed that somehow, things would get better. The train lurched forward, beginning its journey through the city. Maya closed her eyes, letting the rhythm of the tracks soothe her. Just 30 more minutes, and she'd be home. Keisha would run to hug her. They'd make mac and cheese for dinner. Maybe watch a cartoon together. That's when she heard it. A baby crying. Maya opened her eyes. The sound came from a few rows ahead. It wasn't just regular crying, it was the desperate, heartbreaking wail of an infant in distress. The kind of crying that makes every mother's heart squeeze tight, even if it's not their own child. She leaned forward to see better. A man sat alone in the front section, holding a tiny baby against his chest. The man was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive black suit that probably cost more than Maya made in 3 months. His dark hair was styled perfectly. Even from where she sat, Maya could see the glint of a heavy gold watch on his wrist. But it was his face that made her pause. The man looked absolutely terrified. He bounced the baby awkwardly, like he'd never held an infant before in his life. His hands, large and rough, with small white scars across the knuckles, trembled as he tried to shift the baby to a different position. The baby only cried harder. Sure, the man whispered desperately. His accent was thick Korean, Maya guessed. Please stop crying. The other passengers were starting to notice. A businessman in a grey suit huffed loudly and moved to a different seat. 2 teenage girls put in earbuds, turning their music up loud. An elderly woman shook her head and muttered something under her breath. The man noticed the stares. His jaw clenched. For just a moment, his eyes flashed with something dangerous, something that made the businessman look away quickly, and the teenage girls suddenly became very interested in their phones. But then the baby wailed again, and that dangerous look melted into pure helplessness. Maya watched as the man pulled out a bottle from a designer diaper bag beside him. His hands shook as he tried to get the baby to drink. The infant turned its head away, refusing, crying even louder now. Come on, the man pleaded. You must be hungry. Please. The baby's face was bright red, tiny fists waving in the air. The cries echoed through the train car, getting louder and more desperate with each passing second. Maya's heart ached. She knew that sound. She remembered when Keisha was a baby, those terrible nights when nothing seemed to work, when her daughter would cry and Maya would walk circles around their tiny apartment, trying everything she could think of. The man tried again with the bottle. The baby knocked it away with a flailing hand. Formula splashed across the man's expensive suit jacket. He didn't even seem to notice. I don't know what to do, he whispered, and even though he was speaking quietly, Maya could hear the raw panic in his voice. Please tell me what you need. Please. A woman across the aisle spoke up, her voice sharp and annoyed. Can't you control that, baby? Some of us are trying to relax after work. The man's head snapped toward her. For a heartbeat, his expression was so cold, so deadly, that the woman actually gasped and pressed herself back into her seat. But then his face crumbled. He looked down at the crying infant in his arms, and Maya saw something she never expected to see from a man who looked like he could break someone in half without trying. She saw tears. Not falling, he was too proud or too trained to let them fall, but they were there, glistening in his dark eyes. The eyes of a man who was completely, utterly lost. The baby's cries reached a new pitch. Several more passengers got up and moved away, shooting dirty looks at the man. The train rattled around a curve, and the man had to grip the baby tighter to keep from dropping the child. That's when Maya saw it. On the man's left hand, partially hidden by his sleeve, was a tattoo. It crawled up from his wrist, an intricate design of a dragon and cherry blossoms, done in traditional style. The kind of tattoo that meant something. The kind that marked someone as belonging to a very specific, very dangerous world. Maya had seen tattoos like that before. Years ago, when she worked at a restaurant in Koreatown, some of the late-night customers had similar marks. The other waitresses would whisper warnings, don't look them in the eye. Don't ask questions. Just serve them and stay out of their way. This man was dangerous. That much was clear. Everything about him screamed power, violence, control. Everything except the way he held that baby like it was the most precious, fragile thing in the universe, and he was terrified he might break it. The infant's cries were becoming hoarse now. The poor thing had been crying so long, its little voice was starting to give out. The man patted the baby's back, rocked it gently, and tried the bottle again. Nothing worked. Other passengers were whispering now, their words carrying through the train car. Who brings a baby on a train if they can't even take care of it? Probably not even his kid. Someone should call security. The man's shoulders tensed at each comment. His jaw was so tight, Maya could see the muscles jumping. But he didn't respond. He just kept trying, desperately, to comfort the inconsolable infant in his arms. Maya felt something shift inside her chest. She knew she should stay in her seat. Mind her own business. She had enough problems of her own without getting involved with a stranger, especially a stranger who was clearly connected to dangerous people. But that baby. That crying, desperate baby. And that man, so obviously out of his depth, so clearly trying his best even though he had no idea what he was doing. Maya's feet were moving before her brain could tell them to stop. She stood up. She walked down the aisle, her bakery uniform still dusted with flour, her old sneakers squeaking slightly on the train floor. The man looked up as she approached. His eyes narrowed, suspicious and wary. Up close, Maya could see he was younger than she'd thought, maybe early 30s. His face was handsome but hard, with a small scar cutting through his left eyebrow. His suit probably cost thousands of dollars. His watch definitely did. They were from completely different worlds. Stay back, he said quietly. His voice was rough, accented, and carried an unmistakable warning. Maya stopped a few feet away. She held up her empty hands, showing she meant no harm. I'm not here to cause trouble, she said softly. I might be able to help. The man's eyes flicked over her, taking in her worn uniform, her tired face, her gentle expression. Calculating. Deciding if she was a threat. The baby wailed again, the sound cutting through everything else. Something in the man's face broke. I don't know what to do, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Nothing works. I've tried everything. Maya took a slow step closer. May I? She asked, gesturing toward the baby. The man's whole body went rigid. His arms tightened protectively around the infant. No one touches her, he said, and now there was steel in his voice. Danger. I understand, Maya said quickly. I'm not asking to take her. But, is she your daughter? The man hesitated. Then, slowly, he nodded. Yes. And you love her very much. It wasn't a question, but the man nodded anyway. More than anything. Then let me help, Maya said simply. I have a daughter too. I know babies. I might know what's wrong. The man studied her face for a long moment. The train swayed. The baby cried. Other passengers watched this strange scene unfold. Finally, the man made a decision. What do I do? He asked. Maya smiled, warm, genuine, without a trace of judgment. First, let's check if her diaper needs changing. When did you last change her? The man blinked. This morning. Maybe. Okay, that might be part of the problem. Babies get very upset when they're uncomfortable. Do you have diapers? The man grabbed the diaper bag, pulling out diapers, wipes, everything. His movements were awkward, unpracticed. There's a changing table in the bathroom at the next car, Maya said. But it's hard to go alone when the train's moving. Would you like me to show you how? The man looked at her, really looked at her. Maya saw the war happening behind his eyes, pride versus desperation, suspicion versus need. The baby let out another heartbreaking wail. Desperation won. Yes, the man said. Please. And that's how Maya Chen, a single mother with $42 in her purse and flour in her hair, found herself helping one of the most dangerous men in the city take care of his baby daughter. What Maya didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that this simple act of kindness was about to change everything. For her. For him. For both of them. Because the man holding that baby wasn't just any father. His name was Tae-Jin Park. And he was the boss of one of the most powerful Korean crime families on the East Coast. And the reason he was alone on a train with his infant daughter, looking terrified and lost. That was a story that would make Maya's blood run cold. But she'd find that out soon enough. For now, as the train rattled through the rainy evening, as other passengers watched with wide eyes, Maya gently guided Tae-Jin toward the bathroom, her soft voice explaining how to properly support a baby's head, how to check if a diaper was wet, how to fold the tabs just right. And for the first time since his daughter had started crying 20 minutes ago, Tae-Jin felt a small flutter of hope in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. He had no idea how wrong he was. The bathroom was tiny and cramped. It smelled like cleaning chemicals and something vaguely unpleasant. The train rocked back and forth as it moved along the tracks, making it hard to stand steady. Maya had seen Tae-Jin carry his daughter inside, but the changing table was so small and he looked so nervous that she'd offered to help. Now she stood near the door, keeping it slightly open for propriety, while guiding him through the process. Support her head with one hand, Maya instructed gently. Yes, just like that. Now use your other hand to undo the diaper tabs. Tae-Jin's large, scarred hands fumbled with the tiny tabs. His movements were stiff, almost robotic. This was clearly not something he'd done many times before. It's okay, Maya encouraged. You're doing fine. Every parent is scared the first few times. I am not scared, Tae-Jin said automatically. Then he glanced at his daughter's tiny, fragile body and his voice softened. Maybe, a little. The diaper came off. It was soaked through, and the poor baby's skin was red and irritated. Oh, sweetheart, Maya murmured. No wonder you were crying. That must have hurt so much. She talked Tae-Jin through cleaning his daughter gently, applying diaper cream, and putting on a fresh diaper. His hands were surprisingly gentle despite their size. Despite what those scars suggested they'd done. When they finished, the baby had stopped crying. She looked up at her father with wide, dark eyes, making little cooing sounds. She's beautiful, Maya said softly. What's her name? Tae-Jin's expression transformed. All the hardness melted away, replaced by pure, overwhelming love. Ji-woo, he said. It means wisdom and beauty. That's a lovely name. Maya smiled. How old is she? 3 months. Tae-Jin carefully lifted Ji-woo, holding her against his chest. The baby nestled into him, finally content. 3 months and 12 days. They made their way back to the seats. The other passengers watched them with curious eyes, but most of the hostility had faded now that the baby was quiet. Maya gathered her things, preparing to return to her own seat. Wait, Tae-Jin said. He gestured to the empty seat beside him. Please. Sit. Maya hesitated. She should go back to her own spot. Mind her own business. But something in Tae-Jin's expression stopped her, a desperate loneliness, a silent plea for company. She sat down. For a few minutes, they rode in comfortable silence. Ji-woo dozed against her father's chest, tiny fingers curled around his shirt. Tae-Jin stared out the window at the rain-soaked city passing by, his face unreadable. "Thank you," he finally said. His voice was quiet but sincere. "I did not know what to do. I thought maybe something was seriously wrong with her." "Babies cry for lots of reasons," Maya said kindly. "Hunger, tiredness, dirty diapers, sometimes just because they need comfort. You learn to tell the difference after a while." "I do not have a while," Tae-Jin said, and something dark crossed his face. "I must learn quickly." Maya sensed there was a story there, but she didn't push. Instead, she asked, "Is this your first time alone with her?" Tae-Jin nodded slowly. "My wife." He stopped, his jaw tightening. "Ji-woo's mother is not here anymore." "Oh." Maya's heart clenched. "I'm so sorry." "It is recent," Tae-Jin continued, his voice carefully controlled. "Very recent. I am still learning how to be both mother and father." Maya understood that pain. She remembered how hard it was when Keisha's father left, how alone she'd felt, how overwhelming it was to be the only parent. "It's hard," she said softly. "Really hard. But you're trying, and that's what matters." Tae-Jin looked at her, really looked at her. "You said you have a daughter?" "Yes." "Keisha. She's 7. Maya pulled out her phone, showing him a photo of a beautiful little girl with braided hair and a gap-toothed smile. "She's my whole world." "You raise her alone?" "Yes." "Her father, he left a couple years ago. Haven't heard from him since." Maya shrugged, trying to keep the bitterness from her voice. "So it's just us. We make it work." Tae-Jin studied the photo, then looked at Maya with new respect. "That must be very difficult." "Some days more than others," Maya admitted. "But I have my job at the bakery, and we have a small apartment, and Keisha is happy. That's all that matters." The train began to slow, approaching the next station. Several passengers stood up, gathering their belongings. Maya glanced at her watch, still 20 minutes until her stop. That's when she noticed them. 2 men had boarded at the last station. They stood near the front of the car, both wearing dark jackets and jeans. At first glance, they looked like regular passengers. But Maya had learned to notice details working in rough neighborhoods. These men weren't looking at their phones. They weren't reading. They were scanning the train car with sharp, alert eyes. And those eyes kept flicking toward Tae-Jin. Maya felt her stomach tighten with worry. She glanced at Tae-Jin and saw that he'd noticed them too. His whole body had gone tense. One hand held Ji-woo protectively while the other slowly moved inside his jacket. "Friends of yours?" Maya whispered. "No," Tae-Jin said flatly. "The opposite." One of the men started walking down the aisle, moving slowly, casually. But his eyes never left Tae-Jin. The other man stayed by the door, blocking the exit. Maya's heart began to race. This was bad. This was very, very bad. "Tae-Jin Park," the approaching man said in Korean. His voice carried through the train car. "We've been looking for you." Tae-Jin responded in Korean, his voice low and dangerous. Maya didn't understand the words, but the tone was clear, a warning. The man laughed. He replied in Korean, then switched to accented English, clearly for the benefit of the other passengers. "Your brother sends his regards. He's very disappointed you ran away. Very disappointed you took something that doesn't belong to you." Tae-Jin's grip on Ji-woo tightened. "She is my daughter," he growled. "She belongs with me. That's not what your brother thinks." The man was closer now, just a few feet away. "He thinks you've gone soft. Lost your edge. He thinks maybe you're not fit to lead anymore. Tell Sung-ho if he wants to talk, he can face me himself like a man instead of sending dogs to do his work." The man's smile vanished. His hand moved inside his jacket. Maya's breath caught. She'd seen enough movies to know what that gesture meant. He had a weapon. Without thinking, Maya stood up. She positioned herself between the man and Tae-Jin, her body shielding the baby. "Excuse me," she said loudly, her voice shaking but firm. "I think you should leave them alone." The entire train car went silent. Everyone was staring now. The man looked at Maya like she was an insect. "Sit down, woman. This doesn't concern you." "There's a baby here," Maya said, her legs trembling but holding steady. "Whatever problem you have with him, you settle it somewhere else. Not here. Not now." The man's eyes narrowed. "You have no idea what you're interfering with." "Maybe not," Maya said. "But I know right from wrong. And threatening a man holding his infant daughter on a public train? That's wrong." The second man by the door had started moving forward now. Other passengers were pulling out their phones. Someone was probably calling the police. Tae-Jin stood up slowly, carefully handing Ji-woo to Maya. The baby went easily, still drowsy and content. Maya clutched the infant to her chest, her heart hammering. "Maya, get back," Tae-Jin said quietly. "No," Maya said. "I'm not. Please." Tae-Jin looked at her, and in his eyes, Maya saw fear. Not for himself, but for his daughter. "Keep her safe. That is all I ask." The first man lunged forward. What happened next was almost too fast to follow. Tae-Jin moved like lightning, smooth, controlled, deadly. He caught the man's arm, twisted it sharply. There was a crack and a scream. The weapon, a knife, Maya realized with horror, clattered to the floor. The second man charged. Tae-Jin spun, his elbow connecting with the man's face. Blood sprayed. The man stumbled backward, crashed into a row of seats. The entire fight lasted maybe 10 seconds. Both attackers were on the ground, groaning in pain. Tae-Jin stood over them, breathing hard, not a hair out of place. He picked up the knife, folded it closed, and slipped it into his pocket. Then he turned to the terrified passengers. When he spoke, his voice was calm, almost gentle. "I apologize for the disturbance. These men tried to rob me. I was simply defending myself and my daughter. The police will sort everything out." As if on cue, the train began to slow. The next station was approaching, and Maya could already hear sirens in the distance. Tae-Jin walked calmly back to Maya. She was still holding Ji-woo, her whole body shaking with adrenaline. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly. Maya shook her head, unable to speak. "I need you to do something for me," Tae-Jin said urgently. He pulled out his wallet, extracting a card and several $100 bills. "Take Ji-woo. Get off at the next stop. There's an address on this card, it's safe. Take her there. Give her to the woman named Mrs. Kim. Tell her Tae-Jin sent you. Tell her to keep Ji-woo safe until I come for her." "What? No, I can't. Please." Tae-Jin gripped Maya's shoulders, his eyes desperate. "The police will have questions. It will take hours. And my brother, he will send more men. Lots more men. Ji-woo is not safe with me right now. But she could be safe with you." "But I don't know you," Maya protested. "I don't know anything about." "I know," Tae-Jin interrupted. "I know you have every reason to refuse. But you helped us when no one else would. You stood between my daughter and danger. You are brave and kind, and right now, you are the only person I trust." The train was stopping. The doors would open in seconds. "Please," Tae-Jin whispered. "Save my daughter." Maya looked down at Ji-woo, sleeping peacefully in her arms. She looked at the money in Tae-Jin's hand, more cash than she'd seen in months. She looked at the card with the address. This was crazy. This was absolutely insane. She should hand the baby back, walk away, pretend this never happened. But when she looked into Tae-Jin's eyes, she didn't see a dangerous criminal. She saw a terrified father who would do anything, give anything, to protect his child. She saw herself, 2 years ago, when Keisha's father left and the world seemed impossibly hard and she had no one to turn to. The doors opened. Maya made her decision. "I'll keep her safe," she whispered. Relief flooded Tae-Jin's face. He pressed the money and card into her hand, then gently kissed Ji-woo's forehead. "Thank you," he breathed. "I will come for her soon. I promise." Maya stepped off the train, Ji-woo secure in her arms, the diaper bag slung over her shoulder. The last thing she saw before the doors closed was Tae-Jin's face, a mixture of gratitude, fear, and something that looked almost like hope. Then the train pulled away, taking him toward the police and questions and dangers Maya couldn't begin to imagine. She stood on the platform, rain starting to fall again, holding a stranger's baby and wondering what on earth she'd just gotten herself into. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Thank you for saving my daughter's life. You are an angel. I will find you soon. TJ." Maya looked down at Ji-woo, who chose that moment to wake up and stare at her with confused, teary eyes, clearly wondering where her daddy had gone. "It's okay, sweetie," Maya whispered, bouncing the baby gently. "I've got you. You're safe." But even as she said the words, Maya wondered if they were true. Because somewhere out there, Tae-Jin's brother was looking for this baby. And now, Maya had just made herself a target. She looked at the address on the card, then at the money in her hand, at least $2,000, maybe more. She had two choices: go to the address Tae-Jin had given her, or go straight home to Keisha. The smart choice was obvious. But Maya had never been very good at making the smart choice. She flagged down a taxi, gave the driver the address from the card, and settled into the back seat with Ji-woo snuggled against her chest. Whatever happened next, she was committed now. For better or worse, Maya Chen had just stepped into a world she didn't understand. A world of danger, violence, and secrets. A world where a simple act of kindness could change everything. And somewhere across the city, in a penthouse office overlooking the rain-soaked streets, a man named Unthinkab Park received a phone call that made his blood boil with rage. His brother had escaped again. But more importantly, his niece, the key to everything, was now in the hands of a complete stranger. Unthinkab smiled coldly and gave his orders. "Find the woman. Find the baby. And bring them both to me." The hunt had begun. The taxi pulled up to a small building in Koreatown, tucked between a noodle shop and a Korean grocery store. The rain had gotten heavier, drumming against the taxi's roof like angry fingers. Maya stared up at the narrow building, her heart pounding. This was insane. Everything about this was insane. "Miss, we're here," the taxi driver said, glancing at her in the rearview mirror. Maya paid the fare with some of Tae-Jin's money, carefully shielding Ji-woo from the rain as she stepped out onto the wet sidewalk. The building had a red door with Korean characters painted above it. A single light glowed in an upstairs window. She pressed the buzzer. Once. Twice. Her hands were shaking. Nothing happened. Ji-woo started to fuss, sensing Maya's anxiety. "Sure, it's okay baby," Maya whispered, bouncing her gently. "We're almost." The door suddenly yanked open. A tiny Korean woman stood there, maybe 60 years old, with steel grey hair pulled back in a tight bun. She wore a simple house dress and slippers, but her eyes were sharp and alert. Those eyes went immediately to the baby in Maya's arms, then to Maya's face, then back to the baby. "Who are you?" the woman demanded in accented English. "What are you doing with that baby? Are you Mrs. Kim?" Maya asked quickly. "Tae-Jin sent me. He said you would." At the mention of Tae-Jin's name, Mrs. Kim's whole expression changed. Her eyes went wide with alarm. She grabbed Maya's arm and pulled her inside, slamming the door shut behind them. "Tae-Jin sent you? Where is he? Is he hurt?" Mrs. Kim fired questions rapidly, her hands checking Ji-woo over, making sure the baby was okay. "He's fine, well, he was when I left him. There was trouble on the train. Men came after him. He asked me to bring Ji-woo somewhere safe." The words tumbled out of Maya in a rush. Mrs. Kim's face went pale. "Men? What men? Did they follow you?" I don't think so. I took a taxi straight here." Mrs. Kim locked the door, 3 different locks, Maya noticed. Then she led Maya up a narrow staircase to a small apartment above. The space was cozy and warm, filled with the smell of cooking and the soft sound of Korean music playing from a radio. "Sit," Mrs. Kim commanded, gesturing to a worn sofa. "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning." Maya sat, still holding Ji-woo, and told the whole story. The crying baby on the train. Helping Tae-Jin. The men who attacked. Tae-Jin's desperate plea to keep his daughter safe. Mrs. Kim listened without interrupting, her face growing more worried with each detail. When Maya finished, the older woman sat back heavily in her chair. "Sung-ho," she muttered. "That evil man. He never stops until he gets what he wants." "Who is Sung-ho?" Maya asked, though part of her wasn't sure she wanted to know. Mrs. Kim looked at her for a long moment, deciding something. Finally, she sighed. Sung-ho is Tae-Jin's older brother. Their father, powerful man, dangerous man, he died 6 months ago. Left his business to Tae-Jin, not Sung-ho. Sung-ho was very angry. He thinks he should be boss, not younger brother. Business? Maya asked carefully. Mrs. Kim gave her a knowing look. Not the kind of business you put on tax papers. You understand? Maya understood. Her suspicions about Tae-Jin were right. So this Sung-ho, he wants to take over. More than that. He wants Ji-woo. Mrs. Kim reached out and gently stroked the baby's cheek. Ji-woo is only a grandchild. Only heir. Whoever controls Ji-woo controls everything: money, power, respect. Old rules say families must stay together. If Tae-Jin has no child, or if something happens to Ji-woo. She trailed off meaningfully. Maya felt ice flood her veins. You mean he would hurt a baby? His own niece? Sung-ho has no heart, Mrs. Kim said flatly. He only cares about power. When Ji-woo's mother died giving birth, Sung-ho saw an opportunity. He has been trying to take Ji-woo down ever since, saying Tae-Jin is not fit to be a father, not fit to be boss. That's horrible, Maya whispered, pulling Ji-woo closer protectively. Tae-Jin is a good man, Mrs. Kim continued. Not like his father, not like his brother. He tried to make the business less bad, less violence. But old ways are hard to change. Many people are not happy with him. They think he is weak. Maya thought about the way Tae-Jin had fought those men on the train. That wasn't a weakness. That was controlled strength, deadly precision. If he's so powerful, why is he running? Why not just, I don't know, fight back? Mrs. Kim smiled sadly. Because he has Ji-woo now. Before the baby, Tae-Jin was fearless. He does anything, fights anyone. But now he has something to lose. Something precious. That makes him vulnerable. She paused. That makes him human. Ji-woo started crying softly, her little face scrunching up. Maya checked her diaper, still dry. She might be hungry. I have formula, bottles, everything, Mrs. Kim said, standing up. Tae-Jin keeps supplies here, just in case. I help him with Ji-woo sometimes. I was his nanny when he was a baby. I practically raised him after his mother died. While Mrs. Kim prepared a bottle, Maya walked around the small apartment with Ji-woo, gently bouncing her. She noticed photographs on the walls, a younger Mrs. Kim with 2 small boys, both with serious expressions. One had Tae-Jin's eyes. That's them, Mrs. Kim said, returning with a warm bottle. Tae-Jin was 5, Sung-ho was 8. Already you could see the difference. Tae-Jin had light in his eyes. Sung-ho had only darkness. Maya took the bottle and offered it to Ji-woo. This time, the baby latched on immediately, drinking hungrily. Maya felt a small swell of pride, at least she was doing something right. What happens now? Maya asked. Tae-Jin said he would come for her soon, but now you are worried, Mrs. Kim finished. Now you are thinking, what did I get myself into? Why did I help a strange man with a dangerous life? You have your own daughter to think about. Maya's eyes widened. How did you? I see it in your face. You are a mother. You recognize another mother's fear. Mrs. Kim sat down beside Maya. You are a good person. You see a man who needed help, you helped. Simple as that. But now the situation is complicated. Very complicated, Maya agreed. She glanced at her watch, it was after 8 o'clock. Keisha would be worried. Her neighbor Mrs. Johnson, who watched Keisha after school, would be wondering where Maya was. As if reading her mind, Mrs. Kim asked, You need to call someone? Your daughter. Maya nodded gratefully. She pulled out her phone and called Mrs. Johnson. Maya, where are you? Mrs. Johnson's concerned voice came through immediately. Keisha's getting worried. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Johnson. Something came up at work, a catering emergency. I'm going to be late. Is it okay if Keisha stays with you a bit longer? I'll pay you extra, I promise. Maya hated lying, but what else could she say? Sorry, I'm hiding a Mafia baby from dangerous criminals. Of course, honey. Keisha can sleep over if needed. Don't you worry about us. Thank you. Can I talk to her? A moment later, Keisha's sweet voice came on the line. Mommy, where are you? I'm still working, baby. But I'll be home soon, okay? You are good for Mrs. Johnson. I will. I love you, Mommy. I love you too, sweet pea. So much. Maya hung up, blinking back tears. What was she doing? She should be home with her daughter, not sitting in a stranger's apartment holding a crime boss's baby while people with weapons searched for them. Mrs. Kim patted her hand gently. You are a brave woman. Not many people would do what you did. I'm not brave, Maya said. I'm terrified. Brave is being scared but doing it anyway. Mrs. Kim smiled. Now, we wait for Tae-Jin to call. He will have a plan. He always has a plan. But hours passed, and Tae-Jin didn't call. 9 o'clock became 10 o'clock. 10 became 11. Mrs. Kim made tea and heated up some leftover rice and kimchi for Maya, who realized she hadn't eaten since lunch. Ji-woo had another bottle, got a fresh diaper, and finally fell asleep in Maya's arms. Maya must have dozed off too, because she jolted awake to the sound of Mrs. Kim's sharp gasp. What is it? Maya asked groggily. Mrs. Kim was staring at the small TV in the corner, her face ashen. The news was on, showing footage of a train station. Police cars everywhere, lights flashing. Maya's blood ran cold when she heard the reporter's words. Police say the altercation on the evening train resulted in 2 men being hospitalized with serious injuries. The primary suspect, identified as Tae-Jin Park, 32, was taken into custody for questioning. Park is known to authorities as a person of interest in several ongoing investigations. No, Maya whispered. No. The report continued. Park is expected to be held overnight while police investigate the incident. His arraignment is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Mrs. Kim turned off the TV with shaking hands. This is very bad, she said quietly. If Tae-Jin is in custody, he cannot protect Ji-woo. And Sung-ho will know. He will know exactly where to find her. How? Maya asked, even though she already knew the answer. Sung-ho has people everywhere. Police, judges, politicians. He will know about the arrest within an hour. And he will know that Tae-Jin does not have Ji-woo with him. Mrs. Kim's eyes were filled with fear. Which means someone else has her. Someone who was on that train. Maya's heart hammered in her chest. They'll look for me. Yes. They will check security cameras from train stations and taxi companies. They will find you. Mrs. Kim stood up, moving with sudden urgency. You need to leave. Now. Take Ji-woo somewhere safe. Somewhere they cannot find you. But where? I don't know anywhere. You know one place, Mrs. Kim interrupted. Your home. Your daughter. They do not know who you are yet, but they will soon. You have maybe a few hours to get started. Pack what you need. Take your daughter. Go somewhere far from here. Stay hidden until Tae-Jin is free. That could be days, weeks. Maya protested. I can't just disappear. I have a job, responsibilities. You have a life, Mrs. Kim said firmly. And right now, that life is in danger. You think Sung-Ho's men will be kind to witness? To the person who helped Tae-Jin escape with Ji-woo? She grabbed Maya's shoulders. Listen to me. Sung-Ho is a monster. He will hurt you to get to Ji-woo. He will hurt your daughter. You must run. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. This was a nightmare. This had to be a nightmare. But Ji-woo was warm and real in her arms, and Mrs. Kim's frightened face was very, very real, and somewhere out there, dangerous men were looking for them. I don't have anywhere to go, Maya whispered. I don't have money for. Mrs. Kim pressed a thick envelope into her hands. Tae-Jin keeps emergency money here. Take it. All of it. Get bus tickets, train tickets, whatever you need. Go far away. Change your hair, buy different clothes. Be invisible. Maya opened the envelope and almost dropped it. There had to be $10,000 inside, maybe more. I can't take this. You must. For Ji-woo. For your daughter. For yourself. Mrs. Kim was stuffing supplies into the diaper bag, formula, diapers, bottles, baby clothes. I will call Tae-Jin's lawyer. Tell him what happened. He will get Tae-Jin out as fast as possible. But until then, you are the only one who can keep Ji-woo safe. A loud crash came from downstairs. Both women froze. Heavy footsteps. Multiple people. Moving through the shop below. Back door, Mrs. Kim hissed. Go. Now. Maya's body moved on instinct. She grabbed the diaper bag, clutched Ji-woo to her chest, and ran for the back of the apartment. Mrs. Kim pointed to a window that opened onto a fire escape. More crashes from below. Voices shouting in Korean. Maya climbed through the window, the cold rain hitting her face. The fire escape was slippery and treacherous. Ji-woo started crying, sensing the danger. Sure, baby, please, Maya begged, starting down the metal stairs as fast as she dared. Behind her, she heard Mrs. Kim's voice raised in angry Korean, then a man's voice responding harshly. Maya reached the ground, her feet splashing in puddles. The alley behind the building was dark and narrow. She ran, not knowing where she was going, just knowing she had to get away. She could hear more shouts from above. They'd reached Mrs. Kim's apartment. They'd know she'd just been there. Maya ran harder, her lungs burning, Ji-woo wailing in her arms. She emerged onto a busy street, cars and buses and people everywhere. She flagged down a taxi, practically threw herself inside. Where to? The driver asked. Maya's mind raced. Not home, they might already know where she lived. Not Mrs. Johnson's, she couldn't put them in danger. Where? Where could she go? Bus station, she gasped. The main bus station. Please, hurry. As the taxi pulled away, Maya looked back and saw two men emerge from the alley, scanning the street. One of them pulled out a phone. They hadn't seen which taxi she'd gotten into. Not yet. But they would find her. Eventually, they would find her. Maya looked down at Ji-woo, who had calmed down and was staring up at her with trusting eyes. This innocent baby, who'd done nothing wrong, who just wanted her daddy. I won't let them hurt you, Maya whispered. I promise. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. They know about you. Run. Get somewhere public, somewhere safe. I'm trying to get out. I'll find you. Protect my daughter. Please. TJ. Maya's hands shook as she typed back. I will. I promise. Then she turned off her phone, knowing they could track it. The taxi drove through the rainy night, taking her toward the bus station, toward an uncertain future, toward a life she'd never imagined. And somewhere behind them, Sung-ho Park received a phone call that made him smile coldly. They had a description. They had a name. They had an address. It was only a matter of time. The hunt was getting closer. The bus station was chaotic. People rushed everywhere, families dragging suitcases, businessmen checking phones, teenagers with backpacks. Maya pushed through the crowd, Ji-woo bundled against her chest, the diaper bag heavy on her shoulder. She had to think. She had to be smart. First priority, get Keisha. Maya found a payphone, old-fashioned, but untraceable. She called Mrs. Johnson using coins from her purse. Mrs. Johnson? It's Maya. Listen, I need you to do something for me and not ask questions. Can you do that? Maya, honey, what's wrong? You sound. Please, Maya interrupted. I need you to pack a bag for Keisha. Clothes, her favorite stuffed animal, anything she needs. Then I need you to meet me at the north entrance of the bus station in 30 minutes. Can you do that? There was a pause. Maya, are you in trouble? I will be fine, but I need to keep Keisha safe. Please, Mrs. Johnson. Trust me. Another pause. 30 minutes. North entrance. Thank you. And Mrs. Johnson? If anyone comes asking about me, anyone at all, you don't know where I went. You haven't heard from me. Okay. Okay, Mrs. Johnson said quietly. You be careful, honey. Maya hung up. Her hands were still shaking. Ji-woo had fallen back asleep, somehow peaceful despite everything happening around her. Next step, tickets. Maya approached the counter, her heart pounding. A bored-looking clerk looked up at her. Where to? He asked. Where? Maya's mind raced. Somewhere far. Somewhere they wouldn't think to look. 2 tickets to Richmond, Virginia, she said suddenly. It was the first place that popped into her head, far enough away, big enough to disappear in, somewhere she'd heard had shelters and resources for people in trouble. Adult and child? Yes. Next available bus. That leaves in 45 minutes. The clerk printed the tickets. $86. Maya paid with some of Tae-Jin's cash, took the tickets, and found a corner where she could watch both entrances. She bought a cheap baseball cap from a souvenir shop and tucked her braids under it. She found sunglasses too, even though it was night. Anything to change her appearance. 20 minutes crawled by like hours. Then she saw Mrs. Johnson at the north entrance, holding Keisha's hand. Her daughter looked sleepy and confused, clutching her worn teddy bear. Maya wanted to run to her, scoop her up, never let go. But she forced herself to walk calmly, normally. Mommy. Keisha's face lit up when she saw her. Then her expression changed to confusion. Mommy, why are you wearing that hat? And whose baby is that? Maya knelt down, meeting her daughter's eyes. Baby, I need you to listen very carefully. We're going on an adventure, okay? Just you and me and this little baby. We're going to take a bus trip. But why? What about school tomorrow? You're going to miss a few days of school. I'll explain everything later, I promise. But right now, I need you to trust me and be very brave. Can you do that? Keisha looked uncertain, but she nodded. Okay, Mommy. Maya hugged Mrs. Johnson tightly. Thank you. For everything. Whatever you're running from, Mrs. Johnson whispered, I hope you stay safe. You're a good mother, Maya. Don't forget that. They parted, and Maya took Keisha's hand, leading her toward the bus platform. She kept Ji-woo hidden under her jacket, just another tired mother traveling with her children. The bus was old and smelled like diesel fuel and stale coffee. Maya found seats near the back, by the emergency exit. Just in case. Keisha pressed her face against the window. This is exciting, she whispered. Like we're in a movie. If only she knew how much like a movie this really was. The bus engine rumbled to life. Any minute now, they'd pull away. They'd be safe. They'd... Wait. Stop the bus. Maya's blood turned to ice. 3 men were running toward the bus, shouting. 2 of them wore the same dark jackets as the men from the train. The third was older, wearing an expensive suit despite the late hour. The bus driver opened the door. Can I help you, gentlemen? We're looking for someone, the man in the suit said smoothly. He had Sung Ho's same cold eyes. A black woman, late 20s, with a baby. Korean baby. Have you seen her? Maya's heart hammered so hard she thought it might explode. She slid down in her seat, pulling Keisha close, covering Ji-woo completely with her jacket. Please be quiet, baby, she breathed to Keisha. Like we're playing hide and seek. Keisha, sensing her mother's fear, went very still. The bus driver scratched his head. Lots of people with babies come through here, friend. Can't say I noticed anyone specific. Mind if we look? It wasn't really a question. Actually, I do mind, the driver said firmly. I have a schedule to keep. You got a badge? A warrant? No. Then you can talk to the station manager, but my passengers aren't getting harassed. The man in the suit's expression darkened. This is important business. So is my job. Have a good night, gentlemen. The driver closed the door and put the bus in gear. Maya watched through the window as the 3 men stood there, frustration clear on their faces. The older man pulled out his phone, barking orders into it. The bus pulled away from the station, out into the rainy night. Maya didn't breathe properly until they'd been driving for 10 minutes and the station lights had disappeared behind them. "Mommy, you're shaking," Keisha whispered. "I'm okay, baby. Just cold." Maya pulled both children close. "Try to sleep, okay? It's a long ride." But Maya couldn't sleep. She sat awake through the whole night, watching the dark highway roll past, jumping at every set of headlights, every stop the bus made. Ji-woo woke twice for feedings. Maya prepared bottles in the tiny bus bathroom, her hands clumsy with exhaustion and fear. Each time, the baby looked at her with those trusting eyes, as if to say, "You're keeping me safe, right?" "I'm trying," Maya thought. "I'm really trying." Dawn broke gray and cold. They were passing through rural Virginia now, farmland and small towns. Keisha woke up, rubbing her eyes. "Are we there yet?" "Almost, baby." The bus pulled into Richmond just after 8 in the morning. Maya gathered their things, her body aching from the uncomfortable seat, her mind fuzzy from lack of sleep. They stepped off the bus into a drizzly morning. Maya had no plan beyond get somewhere safe. She found a diner a few blocks from the station, the kind of place that looked like it had been there forever, where nobody asked too many questions. They slid into a booth. Keisha was hungry, so Maya ordered her pancakes and eggs. She got coffee for herself, black and strong, and prepared a bottle for Ji-woo. "Mommy," Keisha asked quietly, "are we in trouble?" Maya didn't want to lie. "We're in a complicated situation, baby. But I'm going to fix it. I promise." "Is it because of that baby?" "Sort of. Her daddy asked me to keep her safe for a while. There are some bad people who want to hurt her." Keisha's eyes went wide. "Why would anyone want to hurt a baby?" "Because some people are just bad, sweet pea. But we're going to make sure nothing happens to her." "What's her name?" "Ji-woo. It means wisdom and beauty." Keisha smiled at the baby. "She's pretty. Can I hold her?" "After breakfast. Be very gentle, okay?" They ate in silence. Maya's mind was racing. What now? They couldn't stay in a diner forever. They needed somewhere to sleep, somewhere to figure out their next move. Her thoughts were interrupted by the diner's TV, mounted in the corner. The morning news was on. Manhunt continues for Tae-Jin Park, who escaped police custody late last night. Park, wanted in connection with assault charges, is considered armed and extremely dangerous. If you see this man, do not approach him. Contact authorities immediately. The screen showed Tae-Jin's photo. Even in the mugshot, he looked dangerous and intense. Authorities believe Park may be trying to locate his infant daughter, who was last seen. Maya's blood ran cold as her own face appeared on the screen. It was grainy security camera footage from the train station, but it was definitely her. With this woman, identified as Maya Chen, 28, of Brooklyn. Chen is not considered dangerous but may have information about Park's whereabouts. Anyone with information should contact. Several people in the diner were looking at the TV. An old man at the counter squinted at Maya, then at the screen, then back at Maya. "We need to go," Maya whispered to Keisha. "Right now." She left money on the table, too much, but she didn't have time to wait for change and hurried out of the diner with both children. Her face was on the news. Her name was public. There was nowhere left to hide. Maya felt panic rising in her chest. What was she supposed to do? Where could she possibly? Her phone buzzed. She'd turned it back on to check for any messages. Now she saw a text from that same unknown number. "I saw the news. I'm coming. Where are you?" "Tae-Jin. He'd escaped. He was free." Maya's fingers flew over the keyboard. "Richmond, VA bus station area. But my face is everywhere. I don't know what to do." The response came immediately. "Stay in public places. Don't go anywhere alone. I'll be there in 3 hours. Keep Ji-woo safe. And Maya, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of this." 3 hours. She just had to survive 3 more hours. Maya walked quickly, aimlessly, just trying to blend into the morning crowd. Keisha struggled to keep up, and Ji-woo was getting fussy again. They passed a small church, its doors open, welcoming. On impulse, Maya ducked inside. The sanctuary was quiet and peaceful. A few elderly people sat in the pews, praying. Soft organ music played. It felt safe. Maya sank into a back pew, exhausted beyond words. Keisha sat beside her, and Jiwoo calmed down, content to be out of the cold. "Can I pray for the baby?" Keisha whispered. "Of course you can, baby." Keisha closed her eyes and whispered a simple child's prayer. "Please God, keep Jiwoo safe. And her daddy. And my mommy too. Amen." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Her brave, sweet daughter, who didn't understand everything that was happening but was trying so hard to help anyway. An older black woman, maybe 70, approached them gently. She wore a church volunteer badge. "Are you all right, dear?" she asked kindly. "You look like you've been through something." Maya almost broke down right there. Almost told this kind stranger everything. But she couldn't. She couldn't put anyone else in danger. "We're fine, thank you. Just traveling. I needed a moment to rest." The woman studied her for a moment, and Maya saw recognition flicker in her eyes. She'd seen the news. She knew. Maya tensed, ready to run. But the woman just smiled gently. "The Lord works in mysterious ways," she said softly. "Sometimes He asks us to help strangers. To protect the innocent. To do what's right even when it's hard." She patted Maya's shoulder. "You rest here as long as you need. No one will bother you." She walked away before Maya could respond, leaving her stunned. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Maya fed Jiwoo again. Let Keisha use the bathroom. Checked her phone obsessively. Finally, a text. "I'm close. Meet me at the coffee shop across from the church. The one with the green awning." Maya's heart leaped. She gathered their things, took Keisha's hand. "Is someone coming to help us?" Keisha asked. "Yes, baby. Jiwoo's daddy is coming." They left the church, the kind woman giving Maya an encouraging nod as they passed. Maya crossed the street to the coffee shop, scanning for danger, seeing threats in every shadow. And then she saw him. Tae-Jin stood by a corner table, wearing different clothes, jeans and a dark hoodie instead of his expensive suit. His face was drawn and tired, with fresh bruises on his jaw. But his eyes locked onto Jiwoo with such desperate love that Maya felt her heart break a little. She walked toward him. He met her halfway. "My daughter," he breathed, reaching for Jiwoo. "My Jiwoo." Maya carefully transferred the baby into his arms. Tae-Jin held her like she was made of glass and diamonds, tears streaming down his face without shame. "Thank you," he whispered to Maya, his voice cracking. "Thank you for keeping her safe. Thank you for—" "They're coming," Maya interrupted. "Your brother's men. They're looking everywhere. My face is on the news. I've put my daughter in danger. What are we supposed to do?" Tae-Jin's expression hardened. He looked at Keisha, who was staring at him with wide, nervous eyes. "You are very brave," he told the little girl seriously. "Like your mother. Thank you for helping protect Jiwoo." Keisha managed a small smile. Tae-Jin turned back to Maya. "I have a car outside. I'm taking Jiwoo somewhere safe, somewhere Sung-ho will never find her. A place out of the country, with people I trust." "Good," Maya said. "That's good. And we'll go home. Figure out how to explain everything to the police. It'll be fine." "No," Tae-Jin said quietly. "It won't be fine. Sung-ho knows your face, your name. He will never stop looking for you. You're a witness. You helped me. In his eyes, that makes you an enemy." Maya felt her stomach drop. But I didn't do anything wrong. I just helped a baby." "I know. And I will never forgive myself for putting you in this position." Tae-Jin's eyes were filled with regret. "But there is a way to fix this. A way to keep you and your daughter safe." "How?" Tae-Jin reached into his bag and pulled out an envelope. "Inside are new identities for you and Keisha. New names, new documents, new life. There's also $50,000 in cash. Enough to start over somewhere far from here." Maya stared at the envelope like it was a snake. "You want me to disappear? To take my daughter and just vanish?" "I want you to live," Tae-Jin said firmly. To be safe. To let your daughter grow up without fear. But my job, my apartment, my whole life will get you killed if you go back to it, Tae-Jin interrupted. Maya, please understand. Sung-ho is not a forgiving man. He will find you. And when he does. He didn't need to finish that sentence. Maya looked at Keisha, who was trying so hard to be brave. She thought about their tiny apartment, her job at the bakery, the life they'd built from nothing. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. And now it is gone. I can't ask you to do this, Tae-Jin said quietly. But I'm begging you anyway. Take this chance. Save yourself and your daughter. Maya's hands shook as she took the envelope. Inside were 2 passports, one for Diana Williams and one for Sarah Williams. Mother and daughter. The photos were ones Maya didn't remember taking, somehow obtained and altered. The documents looked completely real. How did you? I have resources, Tae-Jin said simply. People who owe me favors. I called them all in. For you. Because you saved my daughter when you had no reason to. Because you are good and brave and deserve to be protected. Ji-woo chose that moment to reach out and grab Maya's finger, her tiny hand so small and trusting. Maya felt tears slide down her cheeks. What will you do? She asked Tae-Jin. Take Ji-woo to Seoul. My mother's family is there. They will hide her, raise her if necessary. And I will deal with Sung-ho. Once and for all. Deal with him how? Tae-Jin's expression became cold and hard. That is not something you need to know. Maya understood. Some battles were fought with words. Some with laws. And some were fought in ways she didn't want to imagine. There's a bus leaving for Atlanta in 20 minutes, Tae-Jin continued. From there, you can go anywhere. Start fresh. Be whoever you want to be. Just like that. We just disappear. Just like that. Tae-Jin gently transferred Ji-woo to one arm and pulled out his phone with the other. He showed Maya a contact. This number reaches my lawyer. If you ever need anything, money, help, legal assistance, you call him. He will make sure you're taken care of. It's the least I can do. Maya looked at the envelope in her hands. At her daughter's confused face. At Ji-woo, sleeping peacefully in her father's arms. She thought about the alternative. Going back to Brooklyn. Explaining to the police. Facing Sung-ho's men. Living in fear every day, wondering if today would be the day they came for her. Or she could get on a bus. Start over. Give Keisha a chance at a safe, normal life. It was an impossible choice. Except it wasn't. Mommy? Keisha asked quietly. What are we going to do? Maya knelt down, meeting her daughter's eyes. We're going on that adventure I told you about. A real one. Would you like that? Keisha thought about it. Will we be together? Always. Forever. Then okay. Adventures are fun. If only it were that simple. Maya stood. She looked at Tae-Jin, this dangerous man who turned her whole life upside down in a single evening. Thank you, she said. For giving us a way out. Thank you, Tae-Jin replied, for being the kind of person who helps a stranger on a train. The world needs more people like you. They stood there for a moment, 2 people from completely different worlds, brought together by circumstances neither could have predicted. You should go, Tae-Jin said gently. The bus won't wait. Maya nodded. She took Keisha's hand, picked up their bags. She turned to leave, then stopped. Tae-Jin, take care of Ji-woo. She's lucky to have a father who loves her so much. I will protect her with my life, Tae-Jin promised. And I will make sure Sung-ho can never hurt another innocent person. That is my promise to you. Maya walked out of the coffee shop, into the grey morning, toward the bus station. Behind her, she heard Tae-Jin murmur to his daughter in Korean. Words of love. Words of promise. At the station, Maya bought tickets to Atlanta using her new name. Diana Williams. It felt strange on her tongue. They boarded the bus. Found seats. Settled in. As the bus pulled away, Maya looked out the window one last time. She couldn't see Tae-Jin anymore. He was gone, disappeared back into his dangerous world. But somewhere, She knew he was fighting. Fighting to make his daughter safe. Fighting to build a better life from the ashes of the one he'd been born into. Just like Maya was doing now. "Mommy," Keisha asked, "what's going to happen to us?" Maya pulled her daughter close. "We're going to be okay, baby. We're going to find a nice place to live. You'll go to a new school, make new friends. And we're going to be happy. Even with new names. Especially with new names. It'll be like we're superheroes with secret identities." Keisha giggled at that. "I want to be a superhero." "You already are," Maya whispered. "You're my superhero." The bus drove on, carrying them toward Atlanta, toward an uncertain future, toward a life they'd have to build from scratch. It was terrifying. It was heartbreaking. But it was also, somehow, hopeful. Because Maya Chen, or Diana Williams now, had learned something important on that rainy evening when a baby wouldn't stop crying on a train. She'd learned that sometimes, doing the right thing means risking everything. She'd learned that kindness and bravery aren't about big dramatic gestures. They're about small choices made in desperate moments. She'd learned that families come in all shapes and sizes, and love doesn't care about differences in race or culture or background. And she'd learned that even in the darkest situations, even when everything falls apart, there's always a choice. Always a chance to start over. Always hope. 3 months later, in a small apartment in Portland, Oregon, a woman named Diana Williams would receive a package. No return address. Inside would be a photo of a beautiful Korean baby girl, smiling in the sunshine of Seoul, safe and healthy and loved. And a note, in careful English. "Thank you for saving my daughter's life. Sung-ho will never hurt anyone again. You are free. Live well. TJ." Diana would pin that photo to her refrigerator, right next to a drawing her daughter Sarah had made of their new home. And every morning, when she made breakfast for her daughter before school, she would look at that photo and remember. Remember the night she did the unthinkable. The night she chose to help a stranger. The night that changed everything. And she would smile, knowing that somewhere across the ocean, a little girl named Jiwoo was growing up loved and protected, all because one woman had been brave enough to step forward when everyone else looked away. Some people search their whole lives for the moment when they make a real difference. Maya Chen found hers on a crowded evening train, when a baby wouldn't stop crying. And she chose kindness. The end. Thank you for reading. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Your subscription helps us bring you more powerful stories like this one. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought. Did Maya make the right choice? What would you have done? And don't forget to hit that like button. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do